All right. What is what now? Should be coming up on all of the platforms now. Potato quality there, and we're streaming on YouTube. We're going to set that to potato quality as well. All right. Good morning, space friends. We should be live on all the channels now. We should be coming to you live through the power of the internet, of course. Oh no. All right. So, yeah. We did miss last week, and if you guys were reading the blog, bad news, fam. We're going to be sunsetting the show. I still want to go basically play out like we would out into what would normally be our hiatus over the summer, because the community gets a little too quiet to really justify a weekly show over the summer, so we take the summers off anyway. So we're going to broadcast up to then, but not have plans to come back after hiatus. I figured it was better to tell all y'all about that and just own up to it and be like, okay, guys, warning, party's coming to an end. Was a better way to deal with it than just be like, an episode 100, thanks for all the fish, bye. If that makes any sense. That pesky real life is just changing and not aligning with Eve very well anymore, and it's time to do different stuff. So, I mean, nobody really quits Eve, right? Like, I've been playing for 12 years now, right? And I still like talking about Eve. I can't keep up a weekly show anymore. Doesn't mean we won't be working hard until the end. Like, no reason to cut the quality now. We're so close. But yeah, I can't. It's got to be. I should have like written down notes for this, because now I'm ad hocing and I'm just not doing a very good job of it. Longtime fans of the show will know that this show lives and dies on the total activity of Eve. And it doesn't help that since for the last 4 weeks of show and the last 3 months of monthly economic numbers, we keep seeing incredible productivity and just no combat. And a static Eve doesn't need me. Like, you don't need this power, this sort of horsepower, if nobody's actually going to go to war with each other. And I, of course, reserve all rights to pull a Duran, and after this farewell tour, have another farewell tour in the future. It's it's always a distinct possibility that, you know, things can change and come back. I mean, we still have the tools. It's not like the tools go out of date. They're designed to be easily to keep up with Eve pretty decently. And I still want to release a few tools to you guys in a way of giving back to the community. I have a blog in the works. We have an alpha. We have an alpha test going on right now on our new Profit API, which is going extremely well. We're finding out all sorts of bugs and kinks and stuff, and I don't know if we'll be able to call it. Be able to release it to the general public without API keys. I don't know if we'll be able to do that in the next week when I want to announce the project. Like put a blog out and show what it does. But we're at least making progress towards all of the back work that needs to go into that. We just my sysadmin just had us move the API onto a virtual machine. Since it doesn't have to talk to the database, it's pretty easy to deploy. So we can do some hardware level rate limiting. Because when it has access to the full power of this fully operational battle station, it can sound like a jet fighter trying to take off. So... .3x, that's the one I want. Reminding me that I needed to double check the response time on the motherfucker. Wow. I might have to talk to my guy. So, yeah. I hope nobody's trying to burn anything. That would really piss me off. Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna... I know, super interesting right here. Let's see, 21 second. Sorry, shouldn't be debugging live on the air. So yeah, words. We'll probably be talking more about it during the main show once I actually get properly warmed up into doing this. Holy cow. There's still... So, the things I've been working on the side this last week or so. The super nerdy thing I figured out was Travis CI. So continuous integration is a methodology that says every time you commit, you should be testing and ready to release. That's every commit should be releasable. And so continuous integration and continuous deployment are two parts of that coin. And so Travis CI is a really easy platform to go work on some of that stuff. So right now, Prosper Common is released on PyPI, and anytime a tag gets set on Prosper Common, it will be automatically released to PyPI. Though I still need to figure out about get hooks and making sure that you update the version in setup and in the tag that those match. Then there is Prosper API is running, and I was trying to get really over the top and have it do our build chain, but it turns out one of our libraries is so heavy that trying to do that is not working. It balloons a 12-minute test into a 45-minute test, and then it doesn't actually test what needs to be tested. So it's interesting, at least. I mean, may it always be interesting. And thanks, Alec, for the hosting. Always glad to see auto hosting. Do be sure to add Eve NTTV to your Twitch subs. Rodin has been doing weekly shows there. Also we've been, there was one other person and I'm spacing their name. But yeah, there's plenty of interesting economic guys still streaming in the space. So even without me here, you won't be completely starved for content. And Oglu is asking, what were my impressions of FanFest? I mean, again, I knew where I was going to be sitting in the long term, and thought it was better than last year's FanFest. Holy cow. I thought it was better than last year's FanFest. I thought there was a lot more that there was actually reason to tune in, where in previous years, both at Vegas and last year's FanFest, like all of the news had already come out, and it's more like a sanctioned party for everyone, which I mean is great, but part of the experience is also watching the keynotes and having your favorite devs speak. And I thought that they did a better job this year. I'm a little sad I didn't see anything from Quant other than his adorable thing in the keynote. But the I don't know, I didn't expect anything earth-shattering. I was hoping for some more details on Moongoo. I'm a little disappointed with the null CSM, and I only caught a couple of player presentations, and they were fine. I mean, I didn't catch the Space Popes. I didn't catch Andrew Goronin's or whatever Empires of Eve one. So I may have missed the best ones, and it was fine. Like, I don't know. I don't expect much, but we'll talk about it a little bit when we get into the real show. that I was expecting people to come back to Eve faster than they have. Like we're seeing a really lean week this week. I ended up skipping last week because the stats were just so lean, and I was like, well, it's probably the last chance I'll get to take a break before summer. Um, and so we went ahead and canceled the show. And then I come back this week and I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, this week isn't much better for news to talk about, and that's it leaves me in a little bit of a lurch for how to package it interestingly for you guys. Oh, the Curzon Dax, really? Old school space royalty. Hold on, work problem, work thing. 17th. Okay, yes, it's fine. Good. So we got about 5 minutes before the show starts. Let me actually get into proper try hard mode. We have not a bad turnout if the numbers can be believed. It's not a bad turnout at all. All right, so anybody who is new to the show, welcome to the show. I want to thank everybody who is tuned in our special time slot. I don't get to do this very often, but when I do, I thought it was a good chance to talk to some of our EU audience who has to watch this all on replay on TiVo rather than live. So thank you everybody who is tuned in live. Do be sure to share the link with all of your friends. I do like seeing subs go up and to the right. We will talk a little bit more about stuff in the longer term here in a bit. If this is the first time you've tuned in, let me just give you a quick rundown. We are an economics show. We talk about it's my elevator pitch to people who don't play Eve is that it's mad money with none of the enthusiasm. I make all of the graphs here in-house. We have databases full of Eve data, write all of the content. There's Python and R that runs the show. Every chart is generated with R. There are sources for most of it out on our GitHub at github.com/eveprosper. And so we do all of it in-house. We're completely independent. And like I haven't been in a null major alliance in years. The show runs about 45 minutes. We might be a little on the short side this week. I don't tend to answer questions during the show, but we will have a Q&A section afterwards running about 30-45 minutes. If you miss anything, we are simulcasting on both YouTube and Twitch. We are at 1080p on YouTube, so if you want that full glorious high def thing, YouTube is the place to go do it, and you can scrub the timeline. I want to thank our editor Christopher Mellon, who has been doing excellent work getting the show chopped up for so that you guys can watch it edited on YouTube. And yeah, that's pretty much all of the but yeah, so we will be talking about that. The elephant in the room is that I have announced my space retirement. We will talk about that in the main show, but the TLDR is that we will be running out the show into our hiatus period, like we would normally. We're still going to broadcast the show the way that you guys have enjoyed it, and I still reserve the right to do any more office hours streams where you guys can tune in and I can get work done and I can answer your questions about, like, well, why should I trade this, or what do you think of this news? But the thing I can't keep up is the week-to-week show. I do still enjoy broadcasting, and I do still enjoy content making, but I would like to be doing something a little different with my time. And I don't mean that to come across as arrogant or shitty. I want that. I really do mean it, that, like, it's time for me to do something else. And yeah, it's just the natural order of things. So we're going to talk about that in a little bit, in like another 5 minutes. And I want to thank everybody who has kept us on the air this long. That we have anybody tune into this show is still miraculous to me, because it's true about make the show you want to see, because this is 100% the show that I wanted. That, why is nobody doing this? I'm just going to do it. And that so many other people enjoy it means a lot to me, and is always surprising in the best way possible. So yeah, and we're going to keep all of our plugins going, so don't even worry about it. No matter what happens, a lot of the code work that I've been doing is to make it so that it's as cheap and easy as possible to keep things running. And that means that, like, we just did, like, as of an hour ago, we launched the API on a virtual machine that we have a little more control over, and containerization is on that to-do list. But the idea is that we could if me and my current host somehow are no longer friends, or things really change, I can redeploy everything in like a weekend and keep all of the endpoints up and just rehost on DigitalOcean or something, because everything's designed to be everything's. I'm trying really hard to make it so that I don't have any magic, that it can just go out there. So yeah, we're gonna go talk. We're gonna talk about it. It'll be fine. So that's the top of the hour. I'm gonna press some buttons, and we're gonna get this show on the road. I know which buttons do which. That button. That button. All right, now we start the recording. Good morning, and welcome to a special episode of the Eve Prosper Market Show, coming to you live for all of you EU fans here on a Friday morning for me. I'm your host, Lockefox. This is the Eve Prosper Show. I want to thank everybody who is tuned in live. Let's go ahead and get started right off the bat, get right into the meat of it, and no breaks, all the hype. First, I want to thank everybody who tunes in live. You can follow the show. All you got to remember is Eve Prosper. That'll get you to Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and our blog. We are simulcasting both on YouTube and Twitch right now. Our usual time slot is 0300 Friday mornings Eve time. That's Thursday night US time. We are just in a special EU-friendly time zone this time. The big piece of news, I have, well, okay, no, we'll do the regular order and we'll get to the main thing. Okay, so next, if you want to support the show, the very best way to do so is through our Patreon. Our patrons keep this show on the air, ad-free every week. They keep us in hardware. They make this show run. I can never ever thank them enough for their support, and I really got to do one more. I'm gonna have to be especially thankful here in just a minute. And if you can't support us directly, that's totally fine. Do share the show with all of your space friends. I do, like every market person, like seeing numbers going up and to the right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and address the blog I released on Monday. I have to announce that Prosper is ending at episode 100. It's time for my space retirement. I've been playing this game for a very long time. I have been doing a lot of this work for you guys for a very long time. And here, I'll even come on the thing so you guys can see. This show has been exponentially more successful than I ever imagined. And the opportunities to meet a bunch of you guys and work in really redefining what market meta looks like has been astounding, has been incredible. And I just don't have the words to properly thank you guys for it. Unfortunately, what's happened is that my real life job and personal life has been slowly diverging from Eve for a little over a year now. And though I still enjoy the same stuff that makes it the beating heart of Prosper here, the data science, the dev fleet stuff, the economics. The honest truth is that I just can't keep up with Eve anymore. Like, when it comes to as a gamer, I have a really hard time devoting, like, it's hard to play Eve for less than a 1 hour block, for instance. And so it's been really hard to even get into Eve. It's really hard to find any more hills I really want to climb, and not feel like that I should be spending that time somewhere else personally. This isn't to disparage anybody in their space careers. Everyone is, you guys go do you. But after 12 years of this game, I have to draw a line. So I still enjoy the broadcasting. I still enjoy the blog writing. But I would like to change what we're talking about and how we talk about it. So we're going to run out the show to episode 100. It's going to get us into June if everything stays on target. And then we're going to go into hiatus like we normally do, and just not plan to come back after hiatus. The hope is that I can come back with something new and something interesting that may not be Eve related directly. Something that lets me flex some more Python muscle, something that might be a little more tutorializing, stuff that maybe in some more real life vein, but I got to go find it. I got to go on some fucking vision quest. So, and yeah, I wouldn't have got here without you guys. Like, this show got me my job and none of this time has been wasted. It's just time to go work on something else. For those who do enjoy the tools will remain open and up as long as I can possibly do it. I have done a bunch of I've been doing just truckloads of work trying to make sure that the Prosper API relaunch has works in such a way that we can keep that running in as much perpetuity as is reasonable. Um, like I'm really trying to boil it down to the point where I could just load it up on Cloudflare and pay like $5 a month to keep it up, because that'd be fine with me as long as you guys are getting value out of it. Like it will have served its purpose. And all the sources will remain open. I am looking right now into a way to share some snapshots of our databases so that anybody who wanted to take up my spot and try to do what I do doesn't have to start from zero, because I really hate that idea of having to reinvent the entire world. I do have some hopes that in the next 3-ish months, as we move, I still have a data science problem I want to solve, and Eve is still the cheapest data to put through that problem. So I do expect to see a few more tools from us in the coming months. So don't just unsubscribe and call me an asshole and whatever. I do intend to keep content coming out, just at a much more technical pace that doesn't really have anything to do with who's fighting who. So with that, I want to thank everybody who's tuned in. I want to thank everybody who supports the show, whether that's subscribing, sharing, Patreon, code contributions, joining our Discord. All of that has been just incredible, and I wouldn't be here without all of you people, which it's it feels wrong to end the show because it doesn't even feel like it's really my show to end. If I can be that pretentious, I feel like I'm killing an institution, and it sucks. But yeah, that's life. So I think I've given a good 10 minutes worth of self-wank on that. And again, I just want to thank everybody who tunes in. I want to thank everybody who supports us. If you do enjoy market shows, I am trying to make sure that people see the other market shows out there. So there's been, let's see, there was Rodin has been streaming on Event TV, and he's been trying his hand at predictions. We've been working with a couple other people trying to do the 5,000 ISK challenge, where you start with a brand new character and you try to get to 1 billion ISK. We've been we're trying to help other people directly, such as Chris Mellon's Minor Metrics show on YouTube, which is really excellent. And we provide the graphing hardware to go do it. And Words, what was the last one? Oh, and of course, the guy who was doing this before me and will now have continued to do it after me, the Lone Wolf, the one and only, who with Eve Talk, which, as far as I know, will keep on going. So do know that I am not your only source for market news. I'm just the best looking one. So with that, let's go ahead and get straight into the show. Enough self-congratulations for one day. We got work to do. Let's start where we always do. And hello, YouTube scrubbers. We are here on Plex. Not a lot to say this week. And this is kind of the problem I have that with why we canceled last week's show and why I had better expectations for this week, is that we saw this during Vegas. That hold on just one sec. I have like the biggest frog in my throat. Yeah, and we're back. So the thing, so we canceled last week because when I looked through the numbers, there just wasn't really enough to make a show, and well, I don't get a lot of chances to skip a week. Um, and I was expecting that after FanFest, we'd see a lot more people, energized and have the hype going. And I don't know if it's just that all the major movers and shakers are still hung over from FanFest a week on, but things have just not really picked up. And we can see that here in Plex that we're skirting the 1.2 billion line, but we haven't really moved a whole lot in the last week. Looking at the zoom out again, super hot at the right before FanFest, big sale, dump the price. We're back at 1.2, but things are staying relatively steady on the. Let me get the actual laser pointer. Things are staying pretty steady on the volume front, so not a lot to say here. We zoom in, supplies are a little bit healthier than they have been, which is good to see, which should be driving the price down ever so slightly. The fact that this price says sub 1.2 and this one says over 1.2 tells me that a lot of the action is going into buy orders at the moment, which is strange. It's sure feels like sort of a holding pattern in the meantime. So it's strange. We should expect some downward pressure with that much product moving into buy orders rather than sells. But I still think things are just a little bit weak. Other big piece here is that we still haven't seen March's economic numbers. I understand that, FanFest was last week, and well, I'm sure that they have mother of all hangovers to go nurse. But was checking out before we went live and just didn't see any econ numbers, and we're about a week later than they should be. So get on that, CCP. Next, RM tokens. We're probably going to have to change this in the future. Not sure exactly. We'll probably just retire the graph. Not a lot to say here. Skill trading, the margins. I'm a little surprised here that with the price of Plex rising, I did expect the margin to come back up to about the 850 mark. And we're still seeing free money margin, essentially. We still have this 150-ish band per skill point profit margin. But we were at 200, and we're quickly eating that away. Again, zooming in, we see the supplies are a little bit tight. I would expect prices to rise if we would stay if the median would be a little bit lower than it is now. But yeah, I actually expect this price to be, 10% higher than it is, which is a little bit weird. Not a bad buy opportunity if you wanted to hedge your Plex bets ahead of the split, which the split is going to happen on May 19th, just so you guys have it in your calendars. So let's go ahead. I don't have a ton of really interesting things to say anymore about the split, just that it's going to happen, and then I'm going to have to backfill my databases and mess with it on my end. It's probably going to screw up some of our graphs because I don't know if I'm going to have time to do the split refactor. I probably will. If I do it right, I will. But yeah, let's go ahead and go straight into the market indexes, get a general feel for where things are. The interesting thing is, into FanFest, the general market has slumped pretty hard. We see a big dip in mining. We see a slight uptick in ships, but this is more returning from a slump. And the RMT markets continue to be strong, as you'd expect. Again, I expected a little bit more effort in the skill trading market, but that's probably just me being optimistic. Looking at the kill rates, again, we see the thing I was complaining about, that a lot of people take FanFest off. This is probably partially that it's spring spring break, partially that your FC is off getting drunk on the top of the world. FC what do, and the everything sort of comes to a stop during FanFest. And we see the value destroyed is creeping back, so it's not like that big a disruption. We saw back ahead of Vegas, we saw a similar dip here in, I think that's the right spot. It's either there or there. We saw a dip right before, right during FanFest, about a week before and a week after. So I'm not ready to go say the sky is falling yet. I am ready to say that, like, the thing that makes this really hard for me as a market show is that I really need heavy warfare to drive volatility, because without a certain amount of volatility, you guys don't need me. Like, if things are just going to be steady state cruising along, like, you don't need me. You can go make your spreadsheets, and you can go talk with your friends about it. Like, this is a shotgun at a barrel of fish kind of problem. Only when things are volatile enough does this make enough sense to actually work on. That this show really shines in that volatility, and without major warfare, there's just not a lot to talk about from an economic standpoint. So I'm hoping excuse me one more time, holy cow. All right, I swear I'm okay. Right, so where things are okay and they're just fine the way they are, and they can just churn along in a steady state, no problem. I'm really hoping for that big war, because we've been so immensely productive for the last 6 months that I really want to see all of those new supers actually start grinding up against each other and start seeing the deaths and destruction really start to cut the thing. Oh, and Unsettled on Purpose is reminding me that it's May 9th, not 19th, when the Plex split happens. Yes, you're right. I am sorry. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we see some more fights. I haven't been seeing enough pot stirring to really say that that the next big war is totally going to happen, you guys. Just you wait. I still have a feeling that a lot of people are sort of biding their time for the new moon mining to come out. And then we might see enough of a land grab happening that forces start grinding against each other. But like, without the actual mechanical details, without test server access, without the specifics on exactly how the new minerals are going to work, it makes it really hard to make strategic decisions right now. So I don't expect anybody to really beat the war drums and start punching faces until we actually see what they'd be punching faces for. So we'll see. Speaking of minerals, let's get into it. We're seeing things start to track up in tritanium. We are at 4.5. We were under the last couple of weeks. If we zoom in, we were seeing a big glut in supply, which is starting to ease. And especially right now with this buy spread, not a bad spot to jump in at a 4.25, a 4.3, aiming for 5.0 in the next week or so. It looks like it's hard to tell if this is weakness because miners are just becoming less are feeling the pressure from the nerf, or if this is just an activity slump thanks to FanFest. It's a little hard to predict if we're going to stay at 30 billion units or not. So it's an interesting spot. It's a little hard to pick. I really like this buy order personally. And and even if you ended up selling at 4.6 or 4.7, like you could probably get your 10% that you wanted if you can get in low enough here. Pyrite is doing a quick bump up to 6, though volumes are looking a little bit weak. Again, similar story. We're seeing it was very hot the week before FanFest and has been tapering off into FanFest. It's sort of primed for a little bit of a bump here, just over 6.0. I don't think it's as good a buy-in as the Trit thing, so I wouldn't really bank on Pyrite here. I think there's an opportunity to make more money if you wanted to hold my feet to the fire, but I don't think, unless you can get a 5.5 or a 5.6 buy order, I really wouldn't want to jump in on this. The spreads just aren't in your favor if things go wrong. Mexilon has been our darling, and if you've checked out, we have, what do we have? We have predictors running on adamforeve.com, and he's got, or adamforeve.eu. Please don't tell me I got that wrong. He actually added in a database to help keep us honest. And we have the predictor says that Mexilon is primed to do a big upward bump. And I tend to agree with the sentiment. I just have a really hard time telling you when, and when tells you, how far you can actually expect to make. Like right now, the predictor's saying that like you can make that Mexilon's going to be at 100 ISK in the summer. And that's like sitting here as a normal rational person who isn't a computer and actually understands the way the things work. That's a little bit laughable. But like if we got up to 85 and then spiked, yeah, we could hit 100. If we slump down to 70, 75, we could spike up to 85. Like I sort of expect a 10 ISK bump. I just don't know when it's going to happen, which is sort of a hard thing to do with a hard thing for you guys to leverage. Like we're seeing supplies got really weak over FanFest, but we didn't see a lot of positive pressure because there just wasn't, with the supply slack, we also saw demand slack. If this starts to dip down under the billion ISK mark, sorry, not the billion ISK, the billion units mark, we could be in a growth opportunity, but I don't expect that to happen until the moon changes actually launch, which means I wouldn't expect a sell before the start of June. And as that is, I mean, absolutely do some opportunistic buy orders. Try to get something in a 72.5, something in a 70 ISK buy order. Like if it doesn't fill, then you have no liability. But it's really hard for me to tell you exactly what to do here because I think that we're going to be in a bit of a weird, unstable spot. And as soon as the actual trigger hits, as soon as this market lights, it's going to get hot fast. And it's a good opportunity to jump in now. Especially, it's a great time to be really opportunistic and like put in those 70 ISK buy orders and those 72 ISK buy orders, and slurp up some of these hanging bits that people might be just chucking into the buy order thing without looking. And then when it pops, well, okay, if it falls down to 70 in the next month, yeah, you're a little bit negative underneath that, like you're kind of losing. But if it then comes back up to 80, 85, well, I mean, if you're playing down here at 70 and the market resets to 85 or 90, like you have this much extra margin to take to the bank. So I would be cautious. I would limit the real volume I held in this. because again, it's a waiting game. I know that it will hit the price. I don't know when it will hit the price, and that makes it really hard for me to give you guys really strong advice here in this case. I think it's a good buy. I just don't know when you'll get paid. Next, Isogen, the one I shit on week over week, is trending up towards 55. Volumes are still a little bit anemic. Zooming in on supply, we're seeing supply continue to track up, so I think we're in for a dump. What we don't see here is today's action, where we popped the 53 ISK price and are trending down to 48. With as much of this stuff that's laying around, I can't give a prediction above 40 ISK, but like, this is such a loss leader at the moment for the amount of supply coming out, the actual demand generated. Isogen just continues to make me mad. Next, Noxium. We have been in this sort of... Noxium does this weird pattern where we'll stay steady and then we'll stair step somewhere new, and we'll stay steady and we'll stair step. If we zoom in, we see the supplies are getting really tight. And in fact, if you're watching the show right now, we're in for a real spike here in the next 12 hours if things don't turn around, where the supply has really choked off. We're just not seeing the number of units on the market, and we could very easily, if you're watching this right now live, you could go buy in right now at 360 or 370 or 370, whatever it's at right now, and hold for a over 400 price, and I think you could get it this weekend. If it spikes, it's going to be really fast, so you need to be on top of it. I would not buy this if you're going to go anywhere, if you're going to do anything but play Eve all weekend. If this is a stay at home and play Eve weekend, Noxium might be your bet to go put some bucks on. If you are going to go out and enjoy the sunshine, the spring sunshine, well, I wouldn't buy Noxium. You're probably going to miss the spike. Zydrene has been tracking down, but is recovering up to 1K. I think somebody who just really loves round numbers here on Zydrene, because supplies are being bought out. We're getting reasonably thin. Shows again positive pressure, but with everybody back from FanFest, I would not bank on this trend turning into a positive price. It's possible. I'll probably eat my words next week, but I think that this is just a factor of how many people are sitting on their hands rather than a real thing of where the product is going. So give it one more week before you try to make any drastic movements here. If you bought in at 95 here in the low, I'd be looking to sell at my over 1K mark. Like, just take this margin and run with it. It's not quite as much as I'd like to get, is again the reason I don't love this, because I still think it's going to turn around and keep heading down. I still think that we can generate way more Zydrene than people are actually using. So I've said it 1,000 times on the show. Megasite is tracking down, was at 1,300, is heading towards 12. Again, supplies are very hot, and this is again why I don't like where the Zydrene picture is. The prices are heading up right now, and supplies are tipping off just a little bit. But as soon as those miners come back from FanFest, and as soon as everybody's out in the world back to 100%, I think that this turns back around and we head back to the 1.2K mark here on Megasite. And then darling of the show, Morphite, down at 9,600. So there's been some interesting talk around Tech 2 with the new moonlighting change. I talked a bit in one of the post shows, I think 2 weeks ago, that I am annoyed where Tech 2 is in the meta. That after all of the Tyroside and all of the rebalancing, we have a very a great tactical landscape, but like the price premium on Tech 2 for the actual tactical premium just doesn't line up. So I was bemoaning that I'm worried that if you drastically increase moon supplies and we half the price of materials, just as sort of a cartoon, that we could end up in a really weird spot that it hurts a lot of industry people. And this just might be me being biased, being that was my bread and butter for the longest time. And I would love to see more Tech 2 used. Like, you get a lot of really great unique bonuses on Tech 2. But like, maybe an assault frigate shouldn't be 15 or 20 million. It should be 6 or 7. And I mean, there's nothing stopping that from being an okay thing. I'm just more worried that we're going to increase supplies by 2 factor and only increase demand by a 25% factor is sort of my only concern here. Though this isn't a bad place to park some bets ahead of the moon mining thing. So if you believe me in the idea that the new moon mining being active will most likely generate more raw units of the moon goo that we use today. Like, it's hard to believe a system would generate less than the passive system, right? Like, never underestimate the power, the power of space nerds and the amount of free time they have. And let's say we doubled the amount of moon goo out there, or maybe tripled the amount of moon goo. It's going to hurt a lot of people in the short term, but the Morphite supply is relatively static. It's efficiently generated. Like, most of the Morphite that can be mined is already in the system. And if Tech 2 production goes up a 2 factor, then Morphite demand has to go up a 2 factor. And I don't think there's enough mining capacity. I don't think there's enough mining opportunity to actually generate 2 times as much Morphite. Is that this might be the dark sleeper horse in your, sorry for mangling that, that analogy. I think this might be your dark horse for betting on moon mining, that this supply chain is extremely static, and if everything comes out to this conclusion, this would be a great place to put one of your second or third order bets. Now, if moon goo gets more expensive, well, you're kind of fucked. So I wouldn't put a ton of money on this. I think this is a cheeky long bet that you get the opportunity to look like a super genius, or you're just going to make no money. You're either going to make a ton of money or you're going to make no money. I don't think you're going to lose a lot of money. Is my expectation here. So if you want to look like a super genius, some of this sub 9K Morphite would be super genius territory in my book. Similar to buying PI ahead of Citadel, I think this is a decent bet. But of course, as always, we don't have enough details, so it's all speculation from my spot. And this is just me and my dreams playing out. Fozzie can absolutely completely ruin my predictions and make me look like a total hack. So I demand 10% of the profits and 0% of the losses if this works out. Moving on to fuel, another darling in our analysis. It was interesting. We saw we're finally starting to see some of the expected changes after the dev blog was announced. We're seeing Galente fuel was tracking way up and now it's collapsing. We're seeing some of the horsepower in nitrogen start to slack. I'm a little weirded out here that I seem to be the only one saying this, that I expect all of the isotopes to really converge in price after the moon mining change, since the isotopes are going to be part of the reaction chain now, so that actual isotopes get consumed at a rate that is expected and designed for. And which means that if you believe me, then these helium and hydrogen isotope prices are absolutely great buy-ins, and nitrogen is get the hell out of town. Like, I can't remember if I said 700 or 800 was my target in the long term, but the fact that these haven't turned up yet is a little bit weird in my book. Like, I really expected more action here on the bottom of this graph, and a little more dip in the nitrogen. Again, this might just be a blip thanks to FanFest, so I might be eating my words next week, but like, I calls them like I sees them. Next, looking at fuel block costs. Again, it's great to see that the margins have spread out a bit. Again, if you guys were watching months ago, I was complaining that why would you be building blocks when this is your margin? Like, oh my God. And we had a similar collision over here. The margins are getting a little tight again. So again, I wouldn't want to be a producer per se, but prices are looking relatively stable. Nothing interesting happening in strontium. Strontium is our canary in the coal mine for SOV warfare. We watched this looking especially for a supply dip. Would be telling us that somebody's going to go kick somebody's teeth in. We're really not seeing that. We were seeing a slump in the heavy water orders as people transitioned out of Rourke mining is the best thing ever into the people who are actually going to Rourke mine. Things are a little bit weird. I kind of expected supplies to be higher than they are, but nothing much to say here in heavy water. And then moving on to our outliers. So not a ton to say in the moon markets right now. I had said to steer clear of these ahead of the moon goo thing. I still think that we're in a case of the supplies probably will increase, just because there's so many active hands on it. It's hard to believe that more active hands would make less product. Like, that doesn't feel like compelling game design. It's of course possible with programming. All things are possible, but not a lot to say here. I think it's interesting watching some of the metamaterials. The buy and sell spreads are getting pretty wide, but these are really the metamaterials are really spiky and weird. So it's hard to really talk about them on a week-to-week basis. Next, PI4 materials are a little bit down this week. Again, if you're looking for an on-ramp ahead of the Moongoo release, now's a good on-ramp for most of the products. I don't think you're going to make a ton of money. The buy orders on organic mortar applicators right this second are pretty awesome, but like, that's just a this weekend thing. I still think that you could make a decent amount of money. Like, you'd be able to take your 10% or 15% or whatever. This is not a bad time to jump in. I don't think you're going to make a ton of money. I don't think you're going to make your 20%, but now would be a good chance to buy in. Hopefully for a June, I don't know, 10th release is what we're aiming for. That hasn't been announced anywhere. It's just sort of gut tuning. Moving on to ships, the Fenrir took a beating this week. Weird to see it diverge down so low, given that most of the minerals are tracking upwards in the last few weeks. It's not a very popular freighter, so it just could be some idiot didn't know what they were doing. Now's a decent chance to buy one if you wanted to, but again, this isn't really an investment opportunity so much as isn't that weird? Next, the Falcon was popular. Looks like somebody bought it out last week. Prices are coming back down, and I would be watching for an overcorrection if you need a Falcon. If you are if you are completely devoid of honor and need to replace a falcon that shouldn't have died in the first place. Not a lot to say on the outliers this week. Like I said, there just weren't that many flags to go through. So, I mean, I'm a slave to the numbers, man. Like, if there are no numbers, there's nothing to talk about. With that, let's go talk about some predictions we've done in the last week. The rattlesnake is looking really thin on the supply side. So if you were holding on to them, now's a great chance to be selling. I wouldn't. You could try to play some of this buy order spread here if you were particularly adventurous and can get a cheap buy order. Like all power to you, but I think the action for this is going to be over this weekend. Just thought it was interesting to see this supply blip happen finally. Next, logistics cruisers. I said on the way out last time was, oh my god, look at the basilisk. No, I said I tweeted it was, oh my god, basilisk, lol, and it's coming back to normal. Not a lot to say there. So I basically tweeted last week's show of like, here's Plex, here's the thing I see. Huh, that's funny. Anyway, see you next week. Basilisk was one of the things I pointed out. And then last, and certainly not least, hold on one more sec, is the violence report. Not a lot different this week. We're still seeing a lot of VNIs out there in the world. We're still seeing Macarial fleets get whelped. Not a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Popular systems, interesting to see GE TAC 8 and GME TAC PQ on the list. Uedama also, interesting to see that during FanFest, somebody was screwing around in Uedama. And nothing a lot to say on the region side, only that Uedama really screwed up the Citadel counts for the month. Otherwise, things are looking pretty lean. Again, the thing I want to see, the thing I always want to see is more PvP. I want to see more people getting destroyed because destruction is the sink that drives the economy. And I think a lot more people need to get off their fat asses and actually start fighting people rather than fighting rats. So with that, that's going to bring the show to an end. I want to thank everybody who tuned in live here on our special European-friendly time slot this week. I want to thank everybody who has been so supportive across all of the platforms. If you want to talk with me, the very best way to get in touch with me is through our Discord, which links should be down in the doobly-doo below. Do come and join us. I am usually open for PMs on that platform all day. I do still get you can still get me on Twitter and in-game, and I'll even check my Facebook every once in a while. So I try to answer every bit of mail that comes my way, but I am only human. I want to thank everyone who has supported the show up to now. Being 92 episodes in is just, never thought I'd actually run a show like that. that to have this sort of staying power, to have this sort of audience, it really does mean a lot. Do keep tuning in and do keep being active in the spaces. I do love hearing from you guys. I do love talking the shit about all of this stuff. So thank you everybody who tuned in. If you want to tune in live, the very best way to do so is both on YouTube and Twitch. We're live on Fridays at 0300. That's Thursday night US time. We stream 1080p on YouTube. You guys can see all of our graphs in the highest definition possible. If you want to support us directly, we still have our Patreon. It does still keep the lights on. It keeps our server running. It's going to help pay for our backup solution so that we don't lose any of the data we've been generating for 3 years now. And that's going to, like, I hate to be like I'm leaving, but please still pay me. But the honest truth is that every dollar that goes into there is essentially paying for server time in the future for Prosper to keep running. Do get subscribed. There will still be plenty of great graph porn. I'm going to try and do a office hours stream sometime either this weekend or next weekend, so you guys can get all your questions answered. And the only way to really know when those are going to happen is when you're subscribed to all of our stuff. So, with no more rambling, I've been your host, Lockefox. This has been the Eve Prosper Show. Thank you, everybody who tuned in live. We will be back next week with more market news for Eve Online. Ciao. All right. All right. Buttons pressed. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. All right. Well, so let me go put it back to there. Thank you, everybody who is live tuned in now. We're going to do about 45 minutes Q&A here in the post show. I do, like I said, I do like talking with everybody. Dirk is saying that we need to do a multiple host show like Fast Money. Again, Caleb has the keys for Blue Horseshoe. I mean, that was more of a metagame, economic metagame power hour, but I don't have the. Please, absolutely go make the show. You go make the show. I'm more than happy to go give keys around and support and guest and do all that stuff, but like I can't host anymore, guys. Let's see. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. So Falinafar is asking if the new APIs are noob friendly for people wanting to learn Python. I'd hope so, actually. Done a lot of work to try and be a good example. Try to make all the mistakes for you. So the API I just released right now has an API key on it because it's going to bomb the CPU that it's on. I'm happy to go give API keys to anybody who's not going to go use it directly through a browser. Or use it through Google Sheets. Those are the two people I don't want to serve with this because they both run into a crappy Flask problem. That is particularly a Flask problem, and it's not just that I'm salty about people who make spreadsheets. Like, I love me my spreadsheet people. I can't guarantee the performance for those people. So get on the Discord and we can chat and I can get you a key if you want to go look at it. I am trying to, so now that I've got the API standing, I'm working right now on, and I've got the CI running so that I can trust if somebody gives me a PR that it'll be checked. And that's pull request. Sorry, let me not be pretentious computer science guy. I'm hoping that I can get a cookie cutter going so that you guys, if you wanted to write a scraper, like all you have to do, like I give you all of the nuts and bolts. That's like, okay, these are the commands I need, and and I've taken care of the interface. Can you just like go to a website, refactor the data, and get it prepared for me? Like, that's the sort of vet newbie thing I wanted to get going. And after working with one of the guys on our current Discord, I want to say it's Toby, that I have just miserably failed as a project leader making that possible. So, for high on my list of next dev fleet things to do is to work on the data pipeline, and that's going to go hand in hand with cookie cutters. The cookie cutters mean that you can just say, oh, well, I want to write a scraper that looks at this ESI endpoint. Well, make the thing, do the REST calls, put the login calls the way it needs to be. Hey, would you like this thing? Pull request. And I can go, yes, I would. Here's a Plex. But I have to fix the way that it talks to the databases, so you guys can debug without direct access to the databases. So you guys can write tests. So you guys can have tests ready for you when you do it. Like, there's a lot of work I have to do to make this work for you guys. Working on it, getting to it. I'm probably going to get bombed at work though, so I don't know if I'm going to make it before the show ends, and then I won't have the soapbox to be able to find the newbie devs who are looking to learn Python. I'll have to start all over, but yeah. Ooh. More questions. Come on, guys. It's your part of the show. I don't even have anything political to say. Yeah, if you of course, if you ping me on Discord, I will. We can talk more directly about stuff. Like, I'm more than happy to go do that. Should Eve get a Moab? Eve already has them. They're fucking titans, man. And it's great that he's off golfing again. I wish I could golf as much as the president. How are my parents doing? Mirage Size asking, has CCP given us quantities on the moon mining materials per mining laser cycle? No, we haven't seen it yet. They were, I think that they were keeping it vague on purpose so that they could, on all of the drunk fleets over FanFest, get some ideas about where they should really pin the balance. I'm pretty sure they have an internal model, and then they're like, okay, and then what do they say? And we'll see how far apart they are. I mean, my parents are fine. I don't know why anybody cares about my parents. Any speculation why we aren't having any major wars? I mean, I sort of believe in the power of greed, that a steady state, fat, rich person is not going to go fight about anything. Like, as much as we talk about how much we love PvP and how much we, want to go be the greatest, whatever, and beat the drums and all that good stuff. I think people are more likely to value, well, I mean, I have a good thing going now, and I'm making plenty of money for what I want to do, and whatever. So I just don't think there's anything to fight over, is the main thing. That, like, everybody has sort of balkanized out sliced up their little pieces of whatever, and more than enough people are willing to rent and not enough people are willing to harass the renters to make that a bad deal. Like, there's no reason to. There's more space than there are ambition, I guess. That's kind of where I think it is. Again, I'm so far removed from the nullsec bear life these days and renting life that I have a really hard time really getting a good picture of what's going on the ground in null space. But I just don't see any reason for these for these people to mobilize, 10,000 people and do the whole 6 month, the whole 3 month campaign thing, when everything is just making shitloads of money for as little effort as it is. There's not a big enough carrot to fight over. There's not enough incentive to topple the people. I'm hoping that the moon mining stuff drives more skirmishes and drives more sort of base load destruction, because it's a good opportunity to get vulnerable people out in space to be content. But I don't know if that's really going to drive the big capital W war style that really puts Eve in the headlines. Like, I see it bumping the baseline up 3 or 4 percentage points, or maybe 10 if we're lucky. But I don't see that leading to the mobilizations that really make Eve the giant sandbox risk game. I'm hoping that it does give CCP some of the tools to start turning the knobs, because the thing I've been on a critic about for years now has been that the way the value of space is distributed right now and the way that it's static has led to all of these entities basically parking on the good pieces of space and then building enough buffer zone in the less good pieces of space, and there's just not enough incentive to really turn the wheels, because the space never goes fallow. The space never gets, your space doesn't get overfished. It doesn't get depleted. It's always the west side of the map is better than the east side of the map, and the drone regions are for pores, and there's nothing causing the churn to put these big entities up against each other, where, like, in a perfect world, and I don't know if we'll have the tools to do this or if it's even in the plan, like, I would hope that over the course of a year your space would start to get depleted and you'd start to see, like, the islands move out, like on a PI map, and where if you mine a spot really hard, that disperses to a ring, and, well, that would mean that your biggest guys who might be opposite the map keep moving closer to each other because the space they're leaving is becoming fallow, or it causes the pieces to get shoved against each other. And it, like, that's the thing I want to see, is that if the map really forced you to be more mobile, to be more nomadic. I mean, PL will just win whatever, because they've been living the nomad lifestyle for 5 years. But without the map, without map level resources really starting to become dynamic enough to cause people to move, I don't see how we actually get the dynamic space that we really need to get wars the way that we used to see them. I mean, people fight for dank memes. Like that was World War B, right? Like, uh, Imperium just went in front of every freaking player group and tried to piss them off enough to actually fight. The only problem was that all of them got pissed off together. Um, like I figured that the press tour last year ahead of World War B was just like, "Fuck you, fight me," looking to generate content by just being shitlords. Um, just didn't quite work out in their favor. I just don't like I say, I look at the map and I don't see anything worth mobilizing 10,000 people against. Like I just don't see the driving force to it. The moon mining is great for day-to-day content and really honestly getting that PvP number up, and probably bringing the price of Tech 2 down are probably good things in the long run. But they don't provide the volatility that really makes the market stuff really fun. All right, we got like 15 minutes, so keep asking questions. I'm more than happy to be here for you guys. This is your time. Um, yeah, and Dirk is saying there might be a land rush if they juggle moons. Again, without details, it's hard to say exactly what's going to happen there. Like, I think that's part of why things are a little too quiet at the moment. Is that I think a lot of these inner circles are waiting for the tactical news so they can know where they're going to deploy. And it's a great opportunity for CCP to really throw some wrenches around. But I don't know if they're afraid of pushback if they said, well, guess what? We're reshuffling, there will still be the number of whatever materials, but you can just throw away those maps that you've been keeping for years and years. I think if they did that, they'd have a fucking riot on their hands, especially with no announced plans to fix the prospecting system. Well, I guess you put down one of these drilling platforms as a prospecting platform, but still that would suck because who's gonna put down drilling platforms on every fucking moon just to get the analysis done? Like that was the whole point of probing. It's possible to do. Like I'd actually love to see it just for the chaos factor. That would probably make me extend the show a few extra weeks just to report on the madness, but I think there's an opportunity to change it, but I still think that there are enough there's enough old money there to say, hey man, my R64 still better be the most valuable thing when you rebalance everything. Like I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna go on the forums and I'm gonna get all bitchy about it if my R64 doesn't somehow continue to make me space rich. But yeah, I want more war. I want more people fighting each other. More PvP. I always want more PvP. Oh, I guess Dirk, I did have one political rant in the pipe. Uh, it was Reply United, not so, like the fact that we've got down to the point where all of this labor is human extensions of a fucking computer system like Mechanical Turks. Um, that part of the story has been really intriguing me. It was funny to watch the political meltdown uh, in work chat at what is ostensibly a startup. Watching the whole company fight over it, it was pretty funny. And yeah, I'm with Dirk. I believe in depletion. I believe on a long enough time scale. Like nobody wants to be like the weekend warriors make it so that nobody can do anything during the week, or the EU guys kill all the good stuff right after time, right after the right after downtime or whatever, and or RIP AUTZ. But like yeah, if you're doing business in a space and you're renting out that space, like as a renter, like I expect to pay the value of the space, but like there's nothing stopping me from extracting 110% out of that little piece of space I rented. um, and that should have an effect. That should cause things to be better or worse depending on how we treat the resources. And I think it again gives an opportunity to say, well, here are there may be 4 islands that are 10 of 10, and you separate them by these strips of extremely low value, and as they get depleted, they're going to spread out, or they're going to move adjacent and end up having to rotate. Like if they're going to go do if they're going to be super organized about it and make a big fucking cartel, well then they just deplete it so that they never run into each other. They all deplete counterclockwise, which would be funny to see. I would love to see if greed, which side of the greed coin wins in that idea. But I still think that there should be something dynamic. There should be something forcing these groups into each other. Um, so Codal Creation is saying that wouldn't alliances want to have stations, as many stations as possible when they get swapped over to the new citadels? It'd be quite unique. Um, so I hazard to say yes, because for the longest time, the meme among the nullsec inner circles was, if they made citadels destructible, if they made outposts destructible, then the first people, we'd all destroy our own. They would turn the guns on their own offices, because there are just so many of them, and they've changed in such weird ways that they're not really as great as they should be for as much money as they are. But and all the good ones are already taken. I'm sure there's a fistful of them going out in the last bit. Um, they weren't as clear about when that transition is going to happen. It didn't sound like it was part of the summer release. It sounded like it'd be more the end of year release. All right, more questions. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. How I make space money. You go find someone who will double it. Kill red crosses. Get paid. They're not crosses anymore. See, that shows you how long it's been since I played. I don't even know. Like, I tried to play over like Christmas break or something, and it had been a few. No, so this must have been last year. It'd been after they changed the NPC things, and I was actually legitimately frustrated that I couldn't tell what the fuck anything was anymore because the iconography changed. That's how old and useless I am. Well, I mean, if you want to troll the show, I've been pretty open about what I read and how I read it. So yeah, you definitely could troll me by putting fake flags in Strontium. There'd be a lot of money to burn. I've got a going away present I'm trying to work on. Um, there are so as I quit, there's two things I want to do. One, I have to plug in I have to plug in the 4 Titan skill books, because then my brain will be complete. I will have trained every skill except for astronautic engineering. Um, and my brain will be complete. I can go sit in the club with what's his butt, who also has, there's like 15 other people who have all the skills. Um, and then two, I'd like to do at least some parting gift. I don't think that a blow me up in a Titan sort of thing is the right thing to do for this show. But I'm working behind the scenes to do at least something, so I can be like, look, and there's our monument or whatever. Or, oh, here's the thing. Have the space money. Because again, I think you guys would be appalled how little space money I actually have. Because I like talking about it and I like making everybody else rich. I just can't be bothered. Like it just doesn't do it for me. Again, I have a hard time doing the whole like I'm quitting Eve forever thing. Let's make it a huge event because, well, I mean, one, nobody really quits Eve. I don't intend to be like I'll never come back and this is the end and bye nerds and just get out of here. It's more that you keep going on without me. I'll keep my fat ass here. Um, so I don't really want to like liquidate my brain and send out uh, injectors for God. I don't even want to know how many skill points across all the characters are. Um, but yeah, the at least do something to commemorate because again, I've been playing this game for so stinking long, and I might as well do one of those big things. And I have a plan. I promise. Some of you guys will like it. A lot of you might not even know what the fuck I'm talking about when it happens, but I'm gonna do a thing. I'm working on it. I gotta go bean count and figure out if I have the funds and the people to make it happen. So but with that, we are at quarter past, which means I got to get out of here and get on to more things IRL. I want to thank everybody who did tune in live. I want to thank everybody who subscribes to the show and the channel. Again, do keep expecting content here. We may leave Eve behind, but we will still be doing graph porn. I still enjoy doing that. So it just It's going to change. It will be different. But I think you guys might like where we end up. Thank you again, all of my EU fans who got to tune in, and all of you American fans who need to get a job. Get a job. Stop watching people on Twitch and get to work. We'll be back next week in our normal Thursday night time slot. Thank you again. I will see you all on all the things. Ciao. Let me press the right buttons before I say ciao.